Hello, you're tuning into Uni Tunes, a show where we seek to showcase the soundscapes of Australian music. I'm Fynn, and today I'm honoured to be talking to the one and only William Singe. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. How are you?
Ah, mate, I'm great. I'm great. Just finished the run. It's beautiful weather outside.
It is.
Getting ready for the weekend. You know how it is, man.
Well, before we get into it, I just want to acknowledge and pay our respect to the traditional custodians of the land I'm on, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. So, Will, how long has music played a central role in your life, and what inspired you to really pursue it?
Oh, mate, like since I was a kid, I was kind of raised in a pretty musical household. My dad's a musician, so yeah, just growing up, there was always guitars. Instead of people playing music and stuff for parties, it was always guitars and drums and bass and stuff. So it was always kind of a party in my house, man. And yeah, it was just awesome to kind of always be around so much different music. And yeah, from there, I mean, yeah, I couldn't not pursue it because it meant a lot to me, and it became kind of my became kind of my journal as well at the same time. So all the things that I couldn't get off my chest in just talking about them, like I kind of expressed all my feelings through music.
Yeah, that's really sick. So, congratulations on your brand new album. I really loved it. What inspired you to write Where Do Birds Go at Night?
Like I said, just different moments from my life, man, and I kind of accumulated a lot of songs, and I just hadn't released anything like an original project, so I just wanted to kind of test the waters and put these songs out, and I'm stoked with how they really came out. I got to work with all my close friends on it, like, and I think that's how you make even better music because these people know me on a real personal level as well, and I know them on a personal level, so they kind of know what I'm going through, and even some of the stories that I'm telling on that project as well was stories from their life as well. So yeah, it was really cool, man. So yeah, I'm just happy to have it out, and the creative process kind of it went around for like a couple of years because some of them were done maybe last year, and then some of them were done maybe a couple of years ago, and yeah, it was just nice to get something original out, man.
Yeah, well, like you said, you've released tons of singles over the years, but this is your first real record. So, what
Mm.
did the process look like of putting together this collection of 11 really great tracks?
The process was really just most of the songs I kind of started just myself in my bedroom or my recording studio, really. And um, yeah, from there, I kind of took it to people who I truly believe in their talents and I really get on with personally. So, and they just helped me kind of flesh it out a little bit more, from ideas to actual songs. And yeah, it was really cool to I think I even had a few writing sessions with Maxwell and my friend Keys Open Doors and Kenyon Brown and things like that. So yeah, it was a pretty like I don't want to say simple process, but like when you're telling stories that have already happened, it's a lot easier to put into words rather
Mm,
than trying to just create something from nothing.
absolutely. So, you've mentioned those collaborations and all those tracks are really fun. How did those collaborations come about in a way that served the song?
Most of them, if I'm collabing with someone, like I'm sitting in the room with them, so the song only exists because all those people were in the room creating it at the time, and we all got to put our little flavors on there. So yeah, that's really how the creative process went. And it's really cool to be able to work with my friends and showcase their talent because, geez, I've got some talented friends. I swear, I have to like tone them back a little bit so they don't make me look shit.
Nah, that's not quite possible, mate. You're incredibly talented in your own right. And speaking of, my favourite song on the album, personally, is Run It Back. It's got that catchy hook, delightfully crisp beat. Have you had one track on the project that has specifically received a lot of praise?
I think both the songs with Keys Open Doors, who's my friend from Tacoma, Seattle. I've known him since I was like 14. We used to Skype session and stuff all the time and write music, and it was cool to finally release two songs with him. And just working with his talent is just I'm really grateful to be able to work closely with him and even be connected on a personal level because I think he's going quite far, eh? So yeah, those are probably the two that I get I guess comments on a lot more. But I really enjoyed making the remix of the motion with Maxwell as well because man, the guy's ideas are just out of it. So to have a UK garage song on my project is something I never thought I would do. But once I heard it, I was like, it's a no-brainer.
That song is so sick.
Thanks,
It
bro.
is a standout for sure. I loved it. So yeah, I mean, each song on the project. I mean, you've got that easygoing California on you, that first track, and you've got the UK Garage, the motion right at the end. So you've got all these different sonic worlds happening, but ultimately it's very cohesive, right? It works together really nicely as an album. So how do you seek to achieve this balance between variety and consistency?
I think the consistency comes from just taking from personal stories and things like that, and staying kind of true to the music that I really enjoy making. And then the variety, like that was, I didn't want to have a bunch of slow jams on there or just slow jams. I wanted something for every moment or like for every type of consumer. So I thought I'd try my hands at, UK garage, a bit of like Cali, almost hip hop type stuff. And then some, some slower stuff like Fano, which touches on like deeper subjects and Catch My Breath. And yeah, man, like obviously had to put a slow jam in there as well. Like, for the bedroom, I had that mood song with Keys Open Doors. Because that's where I used to live, bro. Like I swear. But yeah, it was just it was a cool experience to actually put it out. I didn't do as much. I didn't do as much promo for it as I wanted to. Or not as I wanted to, but as I should have. I guess like I was just caught up in life, bro. And
Yep.
yeah, I'm gonna get around to it 100%.
Yeah, I mean, it deserves to be heard by so many people because they're all great tracks. And when you announced the album, and I noticed you said, you're not doing a whole promo cycle, but you mentioned that it's not an album, it's a project. Could you talk a little bit about what that means?
I feel like there's more of a cohesiveness, like in a theme to a project. Like it should follow a theme. It's almost like it's like a movie, when I think about an album. But when I think about just a project, I kind of took like all these random songs and threw them onto a project just to see how people would react to them. And yeah, so it wasn't something that I sat down and I was like, from start to finish, this is the album, this is what it's about. And there's two ideas I really want to run with as an album, but for now I just thought, to hold myself over and hold other people over, like I just wanted to release an all original project. Might not be as cohesive as an album, but still, showcases the talent and kind of like the journey of what I've been through. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing you mentioned just before is that each song is almost designed for a different kind of listener in a different situation. So is that something that helps you write, imagining who your listener is going to be when they're going to be listening to it?
That's a good question, man. To be honest, like I'm a bit selfish with my music. Like if I'm just catching a vibe or like I'm in the studio, like playing around with something, it usually just comes from it usually stems internally, like from my internal instead of my external. Like I'm not always thinking about the listener. I'm just thinking about creating great music and stuff that kind of resonates with me. And through that, I feel like it'll resonate with someone, even if it's just one person. Like that's all I'm here. Like that's what I'm here to do. Like is if someone can relate or someone can dance or someone can sing and they enjoy like putting it on and it makes them feel a certain way, like the way I first felt when I made the song, then that's all that matters to me, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sick. What actually links quite closely to something you also said on your Instagram. It was a banger of a quote that said that you're trying to teach yourself that your worth's not based on your results, but the art you present.
Yeah.
Which I love because, especially in the social media age, it's very easy to determine yourself based on like your listeners, your likes, whatnot. So what's inspired you to kind of try and develop this mindset?
I'm definitely having my son. Like he's taught me a lot on perspective in life and patience, and just that like, I lived a lot of my 20s trying to impress everyone else outside and build this big following and this and that, but it doesn't always equal to like internal peace and internal gratitude. Like you got to get right with yourself before you can get right with everybody else, man. So yeah, I spent a lot of my time, being like externally living, and it just wasn't fulfilling for me. And now having him, like, and having everything kind of moved down and he goes at the top of my list, like for everything, I think that just gave me a lot of perspective. And it's it's something that I want to kind of pass on to him, and I know his mom wants to pass it on to him too, is that like, as long as you're right within, then everything externally is going to be all good.
Congratulations, that's really awesome.
Thanks.
I love to hear that. That being said, would you prefer a small, really dedicated, engaged fan base over a mainstream kind of following?
Um, it's still an ongoing battle, bro. Of course, I'd love to have a mainstream following, but at the same time, like I'd want to be known as an artist rather than a song because I feel like a lot of people are known as a song, and that's a tough internal battle to go through, bro. Because you dedicate your whole life to making art, and for people to only kind of be like, "Oh, that's that guy that sings blah blah blah," instead of actually knowing your name or knowing, you know, all the songs that you have put out. Yeah, it's an ongoing battle. Of course, for me, like I'd love to have a cult following. I'd love to have a massive following, can relate to all my songs and that want to hear the new shit. But yeah, as I said, it's an ongoing battle.
Yeah, sick. I wanted to ask about you. You've got a lot of covers. That's a big part of your repertoire.
Mm.
And I'm really impressed in the way you deconstruct them and make them entirely new. Like I was listening to the Boys a Liar cover you did.
Oh,
And I was
yeah.
blown away, like how you've just completely brought that into a new life. It's sick. So does reimagining Billboard hits assist you in your own songwriting process?
I think it can assist me, but it can also hinder me because a lot of like my creativity can go into someone else's songs rather than going into mine, and I've got nothing left over in the bank for the week. I mean, it's been great. Like, obviously, it's been a beautiful thing with the success that I've had coming off of covers, but it's always going to be more fulfilling telling my own story rather than retelling someone else's. But when I do deconstruct these covers, like I try to imagine them if the song was mine, how would I approach it? And that's kind of how it comes kind of second nature to me now. But yeah,
Yeah, cool. Another song that you've collaborated on, but you've still made your own is obviously Mama with Jonas Blue, which is, it's a classic now. I'm a huge fan of your vocals on it.
thanks.
How did that collaboration come about?
I don't know, like I was on tour in the US, and I get a message from my manager at the time, Jules, and he just said, "Hey man, this guy he's got you in mind for his next single. So yeah, if you want to do it, let me know. If you don't, um, all good." And I heard it, I was just like, yeah, 100%. Like, let's run it. It's something that I've never really like. It's not a world that I've really stepped into, so I think it was a great thing to yeah, just to kind of try my hand at something else and to see how big it got. Like, I never imagined it was going to get that big, man. Like, I was traveling from city to city in the US trying to like pull out my microphone on my days off and record the next verse and then send it over. And um, yeah, that's kind of how it came about. And I'm truly grateful for the opportunity that Jonas had given me, man, because even today, like I'm waiting for it to click over 1 billion views on YouTube, and I don't think it's
Wow, that's
bro.
crazy.
Like, I think we're close to 900 million, so that's
Wow.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah, so at the time you had no kind of expectation that it would blow up into what it did.
because it also wasn't really the genre or like the genre that I had traded a lot or like I was keeping up with a lot. So um, yeah, to see how well it did, man, like blew my mind.
Yeah. I saw in another interview you mentioned how Australian radio didn't really credit you as much as they should have
Yeah,
when playing the song, which is crazy because like internally I was talking to some people, I was like, oh, I'm interviewing William Singe, and they're like, yeah, Singe, like let's go. So like there is a lot of pride in you as an Australian artist because you've done really well. But
mm.
why do you think that Australian radio didn't really emphasize that as much as they should have?
I don't know. Maybe they didn't know who I was. Like maybe they just too top dog to know who I was, or like maybe they weren't tapped into the internet like that. Like maybe it's just a different generation. But yeah, I was kind of let down by that because like I'm putting on for our country too.
Yeah,
And just to not, it kind of hurts to not like be received by the people that you know. I feel like we should be working cohesively and it's all good. Like I know eventually, well, if they don't know who I am by now, like eventually they will. But yeah, I never really found out why they didn't credit me for that because it's not like anyone else's vocals were on there.
yeah. I have to say, from personal perspective, I feel like your music is exactly what Australia needs in terms of like as as Australian artist, I think you're it. Like,
Oh, bro, appreciate that.
it's great stuff, and it's already very widely loved. But I just want everyone to hear it. Like that new record, so good.
Thank you, bro. And the stuff I'm working on, like I'm excited to release as well. I just, balancing family life and I'm just kind of I've moved into a new, I don't know, like a new part of my life where I'm now in my 30s, and the things that necessary that were like important to me in my 20s, they're not necessarily as important anymore. But music will always be super important to me, so it's just finding that direction and figuring out the exact stories I want to tell now.
Awesome. Well, looking back at your 20s, what has been one of the favorite stages you've performed on?
Oh man, obviously, like performing with Jonas Blue at the O2 Arena, like that was insane. I was like 20,000 something people or something. But even to be able to come from what I come from, like I used to play like bar gigs 3 hours for like $100 with one of my mates. So I
Wow,
did the hard yards, bro, and to be able to kind of go from that to touring, I toured for 2.5 months in the States in 2016, 2017, I think. And it was sold out everywhere, like 2,500 people
it's
every night
crazy.
through the door. Me and Alex, like we kind of, yeah, we had the internet on in a chokehold at that time.
Yeah,
I think it was just like every time I would kind of have that realization, like, holy shit, like you came from doing this and now you're doing this. Like, it was just like a truly like gratifying experience. Like I was truly grateful for every opportunity that I got, because it's everything that I dreamed about, but not everything that I thought I could potentially do. And there were a lot of times where either I wanted to give up, or like the people that you know I thought would support this, they didn't think I could take it all the way. And yeah, I kind of like I did. And it's not like I would never hold that against them at all. Like, it was a very far-fetched thing like 10 years ago to kind of think how I was thinking and actually do. So yeah, man, like all the shows are always a beautiful thing. Playing the Enmore Theatre as well in Sydney, like, man, that was like the last time I'd gone to so many shows there, and for me to be able to sell it out myself, like that was a bucket list, 100%. Yeah.
well, speaking of Sydney venues, you're at Horn Pavilion this Sunday with 1MX Festival. What are you most excited about for this show?
Oh man, there's so many things. Just to be a part of the actual show, and I've been asked to perform there, and have a really nice time slot. And I'm playing with a band this time. Like I don't play with a band very often. And also just meeting and seeing like all the other um all the other talent that's going to be on show that day.
Mm,
I'm really
it's a
excited
great
to see.
lineup.
Absolutely, bro. And I think what's cool about it is everyone has their own flavor. Like everyone's kind of bringing their own vibes to the show. So I'm excited for that, man. And just obviously, like, it's Horton Pavilion. I've never played Horton Pavilion, bro. So it's a big one. I'm gonna be nervous before I get on stage, that's for sure.
That's going to be good. Yeah, that's really exciting. How's your show different when you're performing with a band and just yourself on stage?
Having just live aspects, I think that makes it so different. Like having people to kind of be on stage and interact with as well, it kind of brings a different energy, but still keeping true to like, how things sound, but enhancing that sound. It's gonna be sick, man. Like I haven't performed with a band in a long time, man. Like probably since my first tour here, which
Oh,
was
wow.
like Oxford Art Factory. It was like
There we
2014,
go.
you know. So it'll be sick.
Well, what can fans expect if they're coming this Sunday?
From me, I think from me a little bit of the old nostalgic Will Singe, the stuff that people were playing in high school, middle school, and then mixed with some new Will Singe, bro. And like, yeah, I think that's the coolest thing, is to be able to have those nostalgic moments, but also like showcase the new stuff that I'm working on. Hopefully, they get down to all of it.
Yeah, that's sick. It's going to be really exciting. I'm really keen. I'm going to be there.
Yeah, hectic, bro.
I'm actually going to be a great set.
You have to come say what's up.
Oh yeah, for sure, absolutely. So this show, Uni Tunes, a lot of the artists we interview are underground artists hoping to break out of the scene. So what would
Mm.
be your number one piece of advice for any of those artists?
The number one piece of advice, I think, be right within yourself. Listen to your heart, man. When it comes to things, listen to your gut instinct. The industry can be it can be a tough slog, man. And yeah, it's easy to lose yourself. So kind of stay true to yourself and stay true to those around you. Know that the most beautiful art comes from creating with no expectation. I think that's a big thing as well. Like we put all this financial pressure on something as beautiful as music, and it's such a contradiction. And it is the music business at the end of the day, but I think you have to find that balance. So yeah, just make sure you're right within yourself before you start really pushing to be accepted externally, because like it can stop you dead in your tracks, man.
Mm. What would you say is one of the biggest challenges as an emerging artist in the Australian scene specifically?
I think one of the biggest challenges is like, because these kids are so young, and they love music so much, and they kind of get blindsided by the people who are just in it for the business. So you got to always kind of keep your head on a swivel, and make sure the people around you are really, really doing good by you, and not doing good for themselves. I think that's the biggest thing. And yeah, I think that's a massive challenge. Like always, read your contracts, make sure you get the good vibes from the people that you're considering working with, and just be careful, like tread carefully sometimes.
Yeah, well, that's very, very valuable advice, I'm sure. What can we expect from you, Will, in the future? What's coming up?
I think a couple of albums for sure.
Nice.
I'm
That's
working on a
great.
few singles at the moment that are very different to like the real R&B stuff that I've been putting
Okay,
out. Um, I might just step back into the world of hip hop and just like drop a couple bars for some people,
let's
bro.
do it.
But yeah, just like an influx of music for sure, and just more mature music, I guess. Maybe not as many covers anymore, just because like I did that part of my life, and I'm kind of ready to, as I said, tell my own story at this point. So yeah, if you're looking for covers from me, you might have to go back into the old videos, but maybe here and there. But for the most part, I want to release something that I'm gonna be proud of, and I can still listen to when I'm 50, 60 years old, and be like, yeah, I did my shit on that. Like I was in my zone. So yeah.
Yeah, well, that's so awesome to hear, man. So we conclude each interview by asking our guests to contribute two songs to our ever-growing Uni Tunes playlist. One that is one of your own songs, and one that is just a favorite at the moment. So what would those two songs be?
Uh, I will. My song, I'm still like a massive fan of my song called Stand In. Like I can
Hmm.
still listen to that and I
Yeah,
really enjoy it. And it's buzzy because even my dad's like, yeah, that's the song right there, which is so unlike him. He doesn't really listen to music like that. So Stand In. And then what am I really vibing on at the moment? Um, I think it might be real left of field, but
okay,
one of my friends just showed me this. His name's Terry. He's in Melbourne, but Radiohead, Weird Fishes.
sick.
It's a really cool song. So I've been listening to it a lot since he showed it to me this week, and
Nice.
he might be mad that I never made the secret sauce, but
Yeah, you've opened the gates.
yeah, people need to hear it, I think. So Weird Fishes by Radiohead.
Sick. Well, before we wrap up, what else do you want the listeners to hear? Anything else?
Um, no, I just hope everyone's doing well and keeping on. And I know we came out of COVID, and hopefully everyone's kind of like stabilized in their life. I know I went through it a lot, and a lot of people did. So just keeping on, and doing your thing, guys. And hell yeah, hopefully we get to cross paths one day.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be brilliant. Well, thanks so much for your time, Will. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been great talking to you.
Absolutely, bro. Thanks for I appreciate that, man.
Thank you. It's been an honor. All right. Well, this has been Uni Tunes. This has been Will Singe, and that's all, folks.
Peace.
Thank you